Good day, everyone, and happy Christmas Eve. Um, I don't know how many people will be here today for our book club reading because I skipped out last week. I wasn't quite feeling up to it. And I know people are busy around the holidays and there's a lot going on, but I still wanted to check in with my peeps. And I wasn't sure if my co-reader was going to be here, but she is. Yay!
Hello.
Hello. Well, at least you and I can talk, right? And
Absolutely.
we we can catch up and we can do a little bit of reading, can get a little further in our reading and talk about maybe what we want to do next. Hello, Wishful Thinking 2025 year of FAFO. Welcome and happy holidays. So, Cinnamon and I are going to continue our reading of a Memoir of Survival in Cleveland by Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus. And we've been hearing the harrowing, basically journal entries, mainly of Amanda Berry, one of the three girls who were kidnapped in Cleveland several years ago and lived to tell the story. And one of the reasons I'm so interested in this book is because it kind of tells the story of what happens. A lot of missing people do end up being alive and recovered a long time later. And it's so interesting and enlightening to hear what they are going through when they are missing. And that's what this kind of book sheds light on. But I also wanted to kind of check in with peeps and say hello to them and wish them happy holidays and kind of talk about what's been coming across my radar. But first, how are you, Cinnamon?
I'm doing well. I'm surviving the holidays and trying to, take deep breaths so I don't get overwhelmed with all of the busyness that
Yeah.
goes on with this season. And so far, so good. I've been really uh, just sort of immersed in this whole drone situation.
Oh, really? So that's what's been the rabbit hole you've been going down is the
That is the rabbit hole I have been going down. And, I just don't know what to think because, of course, we aren't getting a lot of information. And the information that we're getting seems to be very strange and filtered and just, and if you're looking at any of the videos that people are posting now, whether they're real or not, it's, I guess, to be determined. But if you look at some of them, I was watching one today that was from Las Vegas, and it was a daytime video of one of the drones. And it looked really real to me. It was hard to tell that it was any kind of, CGI or manufactured video. But it was darn scary is all I have to say.
yeah. So what's
And
the latest on it? Like, what are the theory? What's the latest information? What are the what is the government saying, if anything?
they're saying they don't know.
Right.
Essentially, they don't know what it is. They don't think it's anything that's offshore, some sort of, bad actor, another country, spying on us. They think it's some US based. They don't think it's military. They don't think it's, anything that has to do with anything that should worry us, essentially,
Right.
which I think is essentially BS because, these things are big. They've been captured on film. They're loud. You can hear them. You can watch them go across the sky. To me, they don't necessarily look like they're unmanned. I mean, if you watch them maneuver, if they're real, that any of these videos, they look like they might be manned. And so it brings in, it just brings everything into question. And I'm sort of one of those UFO watchers, right?
Yeah.
and, and so you have you start thinking in that direction, and it's like, what the heck is going on here? I have friends who are, they live way up northeast, and a guy I know is like a survivalist and has a bunker, and
Oh,
is waiting for the zombie apocalypse. And so he's already, I talked to him about it. He says, "Oh yeah, I'm ready for this. I don't know what it is, but I'm going underground."
Are
So,
these sightings now happening the drone sightings
all
all
over,
now,
all
not
over.
just over New Jersey, Long Island area?
All over Las Vegas, Los Angeles. Again, who knows if the videos are real, but
Yeah.
I've just been trying to follow it as much as possible. Outside of the US, they've been spotted in Europe.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything in, like Asia yet, but it just seems to me there's something bigger going on. And, I'm not one to be like a doom and gloom kind of person, but this is really odd. It's very odd.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I admit I've only just kind of seen it flash by. I haven't really looked very closely at it, so I'm interested to see what else comes of it. I'm also,
Right.
I'm also the type of person that will, when something starts to trend a lot, I'll kind of put yeah, I did hear also something about Greater Philadelphia as well, wishful thinking. So for some reason, I thought it was concentrated more on the East Coast. I didn't hear of stuff happening in the West and, Vegas and stuff like that. But what I do is I kind of put a pin on it. I go, okay, let's see how long this trend lasts. Like, how long is this?
Oops. Sorry.
You okay in there?
That was so weird. A picture just like fell right off my wall.
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
you're
uh,
being you're being surveilled.
what? That was really strange. Sorry about that.
That was my telekinesis. No,
It must have been. Yes, yes, yes. The aliens are, surrounding me. I better put on my tinfoil hat pretty
right.
soon here.
So I'll like kind of put a pin on it and go, all right, let's see how long this trends. Like, let's see how long this is viral and if there's more to it. If it just kind of passes by, I like to watch patterns and I like to see how long patterns sustain. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. And I'm skeptical, but there's just so much now and I think I'm mad more than anything else because, our government is just not
Yeah.
coming forth. They must know. They
It
must know
seems like there
something.
should be like a very simple explanation that they're just not
They're
giving us.
just not, yeah,
Yeah.
saying anything. And so who knows, what is going on here, but it's been fascinating. And it's actually taken me away from all of the phone calls from prison that I'm
Uh,
totally addicted to now. so so
well,
it's been a good break in my true crime, uh, Wade Wilson, going down that rabbit hole, which is, just gets darker and darker.
yeah. Well, I've started to go down this really interesting and crazy rabbit hole that is adjacent to true crime. It's a podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of a podcast called let me see what it's Something Was Wrong is called.
Yes,
You
yes,
have?
I
Okay.
have. Yeah.
Have you heard of the story of this catfish, this incredible long like massive catfishing this woman did to many people?
Well,
It's it's the season that was from April 20 that started in April of 2024 that I just started to listen to.
where is she? Where was she based, this woman?
You mean the catfishing?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, but the catfisher's name is Jessica, but she catfished as a man named Brody.
I think I've heard about this.
Yeah.
Did it happen a little while ago? Not just
Yeah, it
recently?
wasn't
Yeah.
that long ago, and so the podcast season just goes through and interviews all of this woman's victims. And she didn't just catfish them, she stalked them, she harassed them, she literally interfered so intensely and so invasively in their lives. And it reminds me so much of things that I've seen play out here on YouTube, but kind of what's really interesting to me is that, the things that I've seen play out on YouTube, a lot of times they mostly play out on YouTube and only just a little bit in real life. It's like, YouTubers going real life on each other, that,
Right.
right. But in this situation, it's more like it's all playing out both in real time online and in real life, because they meet each other on Tinder, and then they meet up and they, start dating or whatever. And then all of the interactions between the catfish and the victims are all done on social media. Right. So
Right.
different Snapchat account. So this woman had created just dozens of these fake accounts, and was all these, she became her own brother, her own mother, her own best friend, her own, from different places. And then she pretended to be somebody who knew Brody and would meet up in person with the victims, right? And like, she would basically she would befriend them, and then she would be gaslighting them as Brody and treating them horrible as Brody and ghosting them as Brody, and like making up all these excuses and leaving them hanging high and dry as Brody, and then comforting them as Jess.
Oh, wow.
And then setting them up on all of these elaborate, like, her as Brody would say, come to Omaha, 3 hours. Oh, it's all based in Nebraska. Now I remember. It's all based mostly in the Midwest, Nebraska, and like Nebraska and Iowa. So it's like Des Moines, Iowa, and Nebraska area, that kind of general vicinity. Okay.
Right.
So Brody would say, come visit me in Omaha. I would really love to see you. Yeah, that would be a good time. I'll be on rotation there. He's supposed to be a doctor, this really good doctor. And his friend Jess is supposed to be working with him. So this victim would, be excitedly drop everything, change her work schedule, create a vacation to come see him. And then all of a sudden he would ghost her there, doesn't meet up with her the entire time she's there to meet up with him. And then Jess, the catfisher, is there to like comfort her and see her reaction to it all.
Very sick.
Isn't that it's
So, yeah. And
diabolical.
Absolutely. And I mean, just think of the time and energy it takes to play all of those characters, for heaven's sakes, right? And do the storyline for all of them. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of work, but my gosh, just to ruin people's lives.
Yeah, she said to be able to say, look how much control I have over these people's emotions, and to be able to see the consequences of what she was doing to them.
Wow.
And so I haven't even gotten through, like, I've only gotten halfway through episode 2, and one of the and let me just share a link to the podcast, so in case anybody.
Oh, good. Yeah, I want to catch up with that.
Yeah. For anybody who wants to eventually, come across this stream and is interested in, here's the link. It's a really good podcast. Very great voice to fall asleep to as well.
I love those. It's so nice. And I often put on those podcasts when I'm walking, just to have a little something going on. But yeah, it's just another rabbit hole for me to go down, which is fabulous.
I had never heard of this podcast before, but I was listening to it, and the concept of the podcast is kind of the same as the concept of my channel, which is breaking cycles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Really interesting. Yeah.
cycles of abuse and wrong-headed thinking and stuff like that. But the other thing that's come up on my radar a lot is, have you noticed that there are a bunch of murder unalivings happening lately? Have you seen these? Have these come across you?
I haven't seen, I mean, it seems like they're all over the place, but are there more
There
happening
was
now? It seems like.
just in the last week there were like 3. There was one in Ohio where no, oh, I'm sorry. There was one in Utah where a man killed his 5
His family and then himself, right?
and himself, but his son was left alive. His 17-year-old son was left alive for 2
Oh,
days with a gunshot to the head, but he was alive.
oh
So
gosh.
that poor kid, I don't is going to have to live to tell.
Mm.
But so there's that one. I just read of another one in Las Vegas. No, I'm sorry, another one in like Sacramento, no, Milpitas, Northern California. Milpitas.
That's near me.
Yes, I know.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of and then in Sacramento, that
Mhm.
I don't even want to tell that story right even on YouTube right now. It is so horrifying. I don't even want to tell, but it
And what
involves an infant baby and what a stepdad did to the infant baby.
I saw that one. Yeah,
Oh
that
my
is, it's horrifying. It
God.
really is. Do you think it's people just get like freaked out around the time of the year or
I think people, yes, Solo, hello, Solo. And then there was Germany. Did you see the
Mm.
Germany Christmas market? That happened in
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, it reminded me of the whole Daryl Brooks thing. The car that was the car driving through the Christmas thing, right? In Germany.
Yep. People around this time of year, well, I just feel like people are freaking unraveling after the horridness of that pandemic, right?
Agree. Mhm.
I mean, people are that thing drove people so crazy, and we're seeing the fallout of that, but also the holidays just brings it all to a head. I mean, and understandably, I'm not saying people it justifies what people do to each other as a result, but people just snap, man.
Mhm.
And I just want people to know there's help out there. There's domestic violence hotlines, 988. There is there are there are so many other things, so many other avenues you can take than harming yourself or another person. And, one avenue you can take is, listening to me and Solo reading a book. I'm not Solo, I'm sorry. Joining Solo in that while me and Cinnamon read a book. And we continue reading a book.
Right. And I mean, I think the whole DV thing is something that we have to be aware of because I think it escalates this time of year. People get crazy and you
Yeah.
know see
Everything comes to every kind of like tense situation comes to a head at this time.
absolutely. And see something, say something. If you see somebody in trouble or you think that they're in trouble or they're struggling, it's good to just reach out or be safe or say something, right? Because you never know. Now, before we start reading, I just want to say that video piece that you did on dog.
Oh. It was fun. It was fun to do, but it also, man, you hear me yelling at the end of it.
I know, I know, I know. He, I don't even know what to say about him.
It's like I don't even think he even knows. I doubt that he has spent any actual time other than doing those interviews on that case. I think
Absolutely, yeah.
everything's being done for him.
Yeah, he just shows up. He's just a character,
He's a hired
in the
hand.
play. Exactly. Yeah.
It's
It's
so blatantly obvious. It's so gross.
it makes him, I mean, to me, he is such a character. I don't know how effective he is. And he seems like just I don't know. He's a clout chaser. He's I mean, I think whoever his team is, they put him out in front of these cases. And I think when somebody like that gets involved, it changes the focus on, it becomes, about this kind of pseudo, I don't even call him a celebrity because he's not, he's just a character that people know. And, it reminds me of, I hate to bring the name up, but I will, because I know, way back when the whole Dylan Rounds thing was going on, and the guy, Jim Terry, got involved. It changed the whole focus of it, right? It became this entertainment factor versus, what's really happening with the case. And and I got sucked into it. I will admit it. I got sucked into it. But Dog the Bounty Hunter, not so much. I can't even look at the guy. He's just, he's like a scary looking dude.
He's kind of like, it actually kind of hurts me. I like it kind of looking at his face. It feels like it feels pain. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yes.
It just feels painful to me.
Right.
I'm not trying to be mean about his looks. I'm just saying that it looks like it feels painful. That's all.
Because he's so overly tanned and crusty looking.
Yeah.
And then he's got, you can tell that he's, I mean, I'm not trying to get mean, but you can tell that he's sort of lost his hair in the front, and he's got the hairpiece on that, that long thing, but you can see.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always think, now you'd think that his team would help him look just a little bit better.
Celebrities don't really have teams. Like the real reality star celebrities. They don't have teams. They can't.
Whatever his latest wife, however many wives he's had, you'd think that she'd say something. But anyway, I know it's a little mean, but
no. Yeah, I mean, that if that's as mean as you're going to get, I mean, pretty tame.
I just shake my head. But see, again, it's like, our attention is on this guy and not what's happening with, Sebastian, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's shameful. It's ridiculous. But
but anyway, I just wanted to, acknowledge you for doing that. It was really good.
Well, thank you. Before, and one real quick thing before we start reading, I don't know if you noticed, I made a community post a few days ago about Johnny's family member.
No, I missed it. What happened?
At the time I made the community post, Johnny's family member was in hospital fighting for her life. Well, she did pass.
Oh no.
A young family member, and I just want and I've communicated with Johnny since then, but I just wanted to say out loud, right around the holidays, that this channel's heart is with the family right now, because they're going through a really, really hard time just losing their child. And the child's mother's birthday was right after that. It's really sad. So my heart goes out to them, and it was a unexpected loss at a really hard time. So Solo, it's really hard. So I'm
so sorry.
But Johnny is there with them, and she's been a great support to the family. So anyway, I just wanted to really quickly say that before we start reading.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. And I don't want to say much more, because I don't want to invade people's privacy. There's not much more needs to be said, just that we feel heartful experiences.
She's one of us, and our hearts go out to her and her family.
Exactly. All right, let's start reading. I will start this. I think you started last week, so I will start this week.
All right.
So there. No, I'm kidding. All right. April 2nd, 2004, family friend, Gina. So this is the other girl. We haven't heard as much from Gina, We heard much more from Amanda, but now we have Gina entering the picture. It's 6:30 on a drizzly Friday morning. Time to get up. My mom is drinking coffee downstairs at the dining room table, and my two little nieces are up already too. I open the cabinet, find the Pop-Tarts, and drop two in the toaster. We gotta go, let's go, says my dad as the girls run all over the kitchen giggling. Though it's still dark outside, the house is already noisy. It's always like that. 7 people live here: my parents, Nancy Ruiz and Felix DeJesus, my brother, Ricky, my sister, Myra, her 2 daughters, Tatiana and Nancy, and me. It's a small home, and we all share one bathroom. My dad talks about building an addition, but it never seems to happen because there's never enough money. Yep. We feel you. We feel you, girl. My mom stays home and takes care of all of us, and my dad works in a factory that makes blades for industrial saws. They're both from Puerto Rico, and have huge families. We have big reunions with tons of relatives and close friends, cousins, but who are not actually related. On holidays, it feels like our front door never really stops opening. Sometimes it's actually a little too crazy for me. I'm only 14 and shyer than everybody else in the family. When we have big parties, I take the little kids upstairs away from the music and noise. We play games and laugh, and that's just fine by me. Everybody's always, next page.
Hugging, and I don't like being touched. I don't even like making eye contact with strangers. My mom's always trying to get me to look at people in the eye. I know she's right, but it makes me uncomfortable. I love all the fun we have in our busy house, but I also love peace. I like things quiet. It's getting late, so I hurry. I grab a few bites of a Pop Tart and tell the girls they can eat the rest. When it's cold outside, my dad and I have a morning routine. He goes out first and gets the car warm for me. We have an old white Nissan Sentra that my dad bought for $500 from my friend Arlene's dad, Ariel Castro. It's kind of junky, but at least we have a car. A lot of people in my neighborhood can't even afford one, and our car's heater works really well. Bye, Mom. Love you, I yell as I grab my blue coat with white fur lining. See you later. Bye, Gina. Love you, she says. See you after school. We live on West 71st Street, 2 blocks from the railroad tracks. The trains race through our neighborhood in the middle of the night and are really loud, especially when they blow their horns. Lots of people cut across the tracks to get to Kmart and Big Lots on West 65th Street, but my mom never lets me do that. A few homeless people sleep by the tracks and people sell drugs there. There's an empty warehouse on our street and a couple of abandoned factories near the tracks. My mom says this neighborhood isn't safe, so she lets me play in our front yard, and that's it. One day, the cops were chasing a guy, and he threw baggies filled with dope
into our bushes, then came back later to get them. After that, my dad cut down all our bushes. Another time, a lady ran down the street, got mugged in our own garage. So now she has a lady right down the street got mugged in her own garage. Jesus. So now she has a huge fence and padlocks everywhere. Mom says it looks like Fort Knox. This is a neighborhood where families live for a while, then move further west toward the suburbs when they get some money. 4 years ago, we moved out of an apartment over on Scranton Road and bought this house so we could have more space. I don't know how long we'll stay. I think my mom would leave now if we could. As my dad and I drive away from my house, I turn the radio to 96.5 Kiss FM and listen until they have a commercial, then switch to a different station. Dad says he's amazed at all the lyrics I know. It doesn't matter who comes on: Christina Aguilera, Gwen Stefani, Alicia Keys, Usher, Kanye West. I sing along with the radio to the whole way to school, and my dad smiles. He and Mom were understanding last week when I lost my glasses. I dropped them in the street and they were run over by a car. They were new prescription ones with gold wire rims. I need them because my left eye is weaker than my right eye. So I have an appointment in 2 weeks to get another repair. My dad is quiet like me. We love to go out in the backyard at night, just the two of us, and stare up at the stars. He came to Cleveland from Puerto Rico when he was 12, dropped out of high school, and started working in factories. When he was 21, he met my mom at a bar, and when they went to a party, and then they went to a party where
Couple got into such a big fight that she started throwing all his clothes out the window. My dad couldn't stop laughing, and my mom fell for him right then. He played softball and football with the guys from the neighborhood, but he also hung out with a tough crowd that got him into trouble with the cops. But that was before I was born. Now he is always telling me to be careful about who my friends are. I'm his baby, and he's my big teddy bear. My mom was born in Cleveland in 1960, but when she was 9, she moved with my grandparents back to Yauco, a coffee growing town in Puerto Rico where many people in Cleveland had come from. Life was simple and healthy there. The family would eat off the trees with oranges and avocados and other fruits and vegetables they grew on their own land. They caught their own fish and walked everywhere. Mom lived there until she was 17 when my grandpa Benny moved the family back to Cleveland. She cried for days because she couldn't get used to it. She weighed 115 pounds when she got here, then gained 60 pounds in a year. In Yauco, breakfast would be coffee with a little goat's milk and crackers, maybe toast once in a while. But in Cleveland, the kitchen was filled with gallons of milk, cereal, bread, and cans of spaghetti, and Mom ate like crazy. Mom dropped out of high school on the day she turned 18 and started working as a breakfast waitress at a pool hall called Le Q, which was owned by Castro, the great uncle of my friend Arlene. It was at the corner
of Seymour Avenue and West 25th Street, which was the heart of the Puerto Rico. I keep getting this wrong. Puerto Rican community back in those days.
There we go.
When they were dating, Mom and Dad met at the Seymour Cafe right there on the same corner, which is maybe a mile from where we live. Dad is hurrying down Lorraine Avenue this morning because he has to be at work by 7:30, the same time the doors open at Wilbur Wright Middle School. Again today, I'm one of the first 7th graders here, and I wait in the cold with a few other kids until they left us inside. I've been in special ed classes since a teacher in the 1st grade said I was a slow learner. That's why I go to Wilbur Wright, which is kind of far away from my house. It's a huge school with all kinds of classes. I used to go to a different school, but they had one of those little buses to pick me up, and I would get teased about it. Everybody knew those short buses were for kids going to special classes. I hated when neighborhood kids made fun of me. They called me slow, which really hurt. There's no way I'm going to take a school bus again, so my dad drives me in the morning, and I take the city bus or walk home. That makes my mom nervous, and she tells me to always try to walk with the other kids who are going my way. A few days ago, I got great news. My teacher told me I was doing really well. Last quarter, I had an A in science, a B in math, and C's in English and reading. Social studies was still a D, but it was a pretty good quarter. If I kept this up, my teacher said, I could move into regular classes, maybe even this year. She said that if I worked hard, there
was no reason I couldn't go to college someday. College. My mom would be so proud. She and my dad didn't finish high school, and she's always telling me how important school is. So if I could get my high school diploma and then go to college, she would be crazy happy. Maybe I could go to Florida State University. My grandpa Benny, my mom's dad, lives in Florida, and I might be able to live with him. I would love to make my parents so proud and be the first person in our family to go to college. That would surprise everyone. School today is the same old stuff: science, reading, math, social studies, nothing special at lunch, just pizza and chocolate milk. I'm extra hungry, so I buy potato chips with some of the $1.50 in bus money my mom gave me. That means I won't have enough left for the bus later, so I guess I'm walking home. It's about 2 miles, but I don't mind. At 2:30, the bell rings, and I climb the stairs to my locker on the 3rd floor, talking with my friends Beverly, Marilyn, Anella, and Juan. It wasn't a bad day, but I'm a tiny bit bummed because I lost my lip gloss. My gym teacher made me hand it over last week because students aren't supposed to carry anything into the gym, and today, when I remembered to pick it up, he said he couldn't find it. He says I should have come back sooner. Oh well. I'm laughing with my friends as I head out of school for the weekend. At the front door, I run into my friend, Arlene Castro, who's in the same grade as me. I really like Arlene.
Hey, let's go skating, I say to her. It's Friday. I like ice skating, and I try to imagine myself as an Olympic skater on TV. Once, when I was watching them, I pretended to do a triple axel in my kitchen and fell and split my chin open. My poor mom freaked out, and I still have the scar. I have a scar in my chin too from a rollerblading accident, but that's another Oprah. Okay. But I love roller skating even more. I spend every weekend at Cleveland's big roller rinks, gliding along the polished floors, skating to the music. I'd go every day if I could. Arlene and I skate a lot, and I'm excited that maybe we can go tonight. But as we start walking together, the 4 blocks down West 110th Street to Lorraine Avenue, the main street with lots of restaurants and shops, I remember I'm grounded. There's 3 weeks ago, my parents caught me smoking cigarettes in my room. I haven't been allowed out with friends since. But wait, I tell Arlene, I think I can still have people over. Can you come to my house? I think so. Come, let me call my mom. We walk to the payphone on Lorraine at West 105th Street. A couple of kids at school have cell phones, but not too many, and we sure don't. I give her 2 quarters from my bus money, and Arlene dials. I can tell by her face what the answer is. She says I got to go home. Okay, I tell her, I'll see you later. I'll see you. Call me later. We give each other a quick hug, and I start walking home. I'd better hurry. It's still drizzly, and it's about a 40-minute walk. If I'm late, my mom will worry.
I have walked only a block when a guy in a Jeep Grand Cherokee pulls up and rolls down the passenger window. I can't quite hear him, but he's talking to me. I know him. He's Arlene's dad. He drives a school bus. My parents and I were hanging out with him a few months ago at the Christmas choir concert where Arlene and I were both singing. Hey, have you seen Arlene? He asks. Yeah, I say, pointing behind him. She just went that way. Can you help me find her? I tell him she left just a second ago, so she can't be far. Okay, he says, but can you help me? He really wants me to help. I don't know why, but okay. I get in the Jeep and tell him to turn the car around, but he starts driving straight in the wrong direction. Aren't you supposed to turn here? I ask him. I need to go by my house for a minute and get some money, he says. This is a little weird, but I tell myself to chill. My parents know him. He's Arlene's dad. If he needs to get money at home, what's the big deal? He's talking a lot as he drives, mostly about Arlene and his other kids. We turn onto Seymour Avenue, the same street my aunt lives on, just a couple of blocks down. She has great parties in the summer. Lots of people from Puerto Rico live in this neighborhood, and we have some friends who live around here. Lynn?
I didn't unmute.
One of us had to do that.
I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all. Okay. He pulls into the driveway and stops behind the house. I'm going to get my money. I'll be right back, he says. His front yard is neat, but as I wait in the car, I see that the backyard is messy and filled with cars and motorcycles. The trash cans are overflowing with plastic garbage bags. He's back in a minute and says, I have a speaker I want to put in the car. Can you help me move it? Okay, I reply. Why not? I walk over to the back door and step inside. The door leads to a small room, then his kitchen. It's nasty with cobwebs on the ceiling and grease stains on the walls. Oh, God. Sit there for a minute, he says, pointing at the kitchen table. Take your coat off and get comfortable. It's one of those fold-up tables, the kind you put at a backyard party. One leg is busted, so he has it propped up against the wall. I sit on a folding chair with a pink cushion. He's in the bathroom now, which is right off the kitchen. The door's open, and I can see him looking at himself in the mirror, trimming his eyebrows and fussing with himself like ladies do. Weird. You have to take me home now, I say loudly. My mom is waiting for me.
He walks right up to me, so close. He tries to touch my breasts, and I freak out. What are you doing? Don't. I want to get out of here. This is crazy. Okay, he tells me, like everything is normal, but you can't go out the same way you came in. He's leading me toward a door and says that we have to go downstairs to get back outside. I can't believe what's happening. As soon as we walk down a few steps, I realize it's a mistake. The next thing I know, I'm on my back on the cold concrete floor and he's on top of me. Get off me! Get away from me! I scream. He puts a pillow over my head and yells, "Shut up!" I keep screaming into the pillow. It's dirty and smelly. There's a pipe on the floor beside us and he picks it up. "Shut up or I'll hurt you with this." He's sitting on top. He's sitting on me. I'm kicking as hard as I can. "Are you done?" he yells. I keep kicking. I'm pretty strong, but I can't get free. He's so heavy and I'm so little. I give him one good kick, which makes him mad. "Are you done?" he asks again. And when I still keep kicking, he says, "I'm going to chain you." "Chain me? What?" I have to think of something, do something to get out of here. Maybe if I pretend not to resist, I can trick him. So I stop kicking, hold out my arms flat on the floor, and say, "Go ahead, chain me."
He slides off. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
He slides off me to get the chain, and I jump up and run. I don't even make it to the first step before he grabs me. As I try to get away, I pull some boxes of junk down, and they crash all over the place. "You should not have done that," he shouts. He pulls me back over to the pole and puts a chain around my neck tight. Then he puts another one around my stomach. They hurt. The chains look brand new. He pushes me down. I'm sitting in front of the pole, chained to it. He pulls my hands behind my back, behind the pole, and ties them together. "It's plastic rope," he says. "Don't move or it will cut you." He picks up a filthy gray rag from the floor, winds a piece of rope around it, and pushes it into my mouth, smashing my teeth against my lower lip until it's bleeding. Then he puts duct tape over my mouth. I'm trying to scream, but I can't. It's hard to breathe. All I can do is cry. How am I supposed to take you home if your eyes are bloodshot?" he asks. I'm so scared. I need to stop crying. He pulls his pants down and starts rubbing himself. He's only inches away from me, and I try to turn my head and look away, but it's hard because of how tightly he has my neck chained. I'm so scared he's going to rape me. I'm praying over and over in my head, "Please, God, please don't let him do this to me." Then, when he's done, he pulls up his pants and, without saying a word, walks upstairs.
My head is pounding and I can't concentrate on anything. I'm trying to think of ways to escape, but my mind is blank. I want my mom. I wish my dad would come save me. I just want to be home. I think he's going to kill me and I can't stop crying. It's terrifying down here. So much stuff and tons of empty bottles of laundry detergent and empty giant-sized pop bottles. What is he keeping them for? He's got boxes filled with magazines. I can see a bunch of pornos. What is this place? Has he brought other girls down here? In a few minutes, he comes back down with a radio. My whole body freezes up when I see him. I look down at the ground. He doesn't say anything, but just plugs in the radio, starts blasting it, and leaves. My mouth aches from the rag and rope. My lips are still bleeding, and I can't move my tongue. The chains around my neck and stomach are so tight that it's hard to breathe. I didn't know I could cry this much. It's completely dark and freezing. I wish I hadn't listened to him and taken my coat off. I'm so scared. I'm praying to God. I need him now. Don't let this man kill me. It must be morning because a little sunlight comes in when he opens the door to the basement. He brings a
Little black and white TV and turns it up loud, and then turns the radio up even louder. He rips the duct tape off my face and yanks the rag out of my mouth, making me scream because it hurts so bad when the tape pulls at my face and hair. "If you scream anymore, this will go right back in your mouth," he warns me. "I'm going to put it here to remind you." He drops the rag on a pile of clothes, right where I can see it. "After all the screaming I did yesterday, I know nobody can hear me. What's wrong with the neighbors around here? I don't know what he wants with me, but he knows I can tell. I can tell my parents who he is, so there's no way he'll let me go." I'm shaking, but I stay quiet. The last thing I want to do is make him mad. He takes the chain off my neck and I can breathe better. "Don't scream. Nobody will hear you." He grabs my breasts and squeezes them. I worry that he's going to do more disgusting things, but then he just stops, turns off the overhead light bulb, and leaves. I'm alone again, and it's dark except for the TV. It's on WB 55, all sitcoms, and I can't reach it to change channels. It's hard to follow anything on TV because of the blaring radio. It's like having two people screaming in my face about completely different things. My skull aches. I have to go to the bathroom. The concrete floor is so cold. Why is Arlene's dad doing this to me?
I wonder if he was planning this. I've seen him so many times in my neighborhood in the past year. He'd be sitting in a school bus parked on Dearborn Avenue, right around the corner from my house, and would wave at me. Other times he would drive by me slowly, smiling and waving. I always waved back. I figured my neighbor must have been on his bus route. Now I bet he was stalking me. I've been here hours and suddenly I hear his heavy black work boots on the wooden stairs. Is this it? I start shaking. I brought you some food, he says, handing me a plate of rice and beans. My mom made this. It's good. I'm so hungry, but I won't touch it. I'm only eating my mom's cooking. I want to go home. My mom's food is famous. Before the holidays, she spends days cooking and baking. She makes chicken and pork and Puerto Rican specialties like arroz con grandules, rice and pigeon peas. I try to imagine the salty taste and rich smell of my mom's hot food right off the stove. I wish I could do a drive-by. That's what we call it when somebody has to work on a holiday and can't come home for dinner at our house. Call ahead, pull up outside, honk the horn, and my mom runs out with a plate of whatever she made that day. It's making me sadder to think about home, and I can't stop crying.
Okay, I don't care if you starve, he says, and takes the food back upstairs. How long will he leave me here? It feels like hours, and I'm getting more and more scared as time passes. I'm crying so hard that it hurts, and my stomach aches because of the chain. Now he's back, this time carrying a McDonald's bag. You must be hungry by now, he says. You gotta eat. I'm starving, so I can't help it. I eat the cheeseburger and fries in seconds. We're going upstairs. Don't try anything. He unlocks me, but it's hard to stand up since I've been sitting on the floor since yesterday. My legs wobble as I walk upstairs in front of him. When we get to the top, I ask if I can use the bathroom. Hurry up, he says, standing right beside the toilet until I'm done. Then he takes me to the dining room where he has a twin bed pushed up against the wall. On top of the bed is a box made out of wood lattice fencing, the kind you see around gardens, with blankets draped over the whole thing. It looks like a fort that a kid would build to play in. He makes me stand at the edge of the bed and wraps a chain around my ankle, attaching the other end to the bed frame. Get in, he orders. So I crawl into this weird box and he follows me. There's barely enough space for the both of us. I'm having trouble breathing. I'm so scared. His hands are all over
Me, and he grabs my breasts as I close my eyes and pray. Then he just falls asleep. I lie there wide awake. The police must be looking for me. I know my parents have called them by now. Somebody has to find me.
Wow. Wow. So many things strike me with that because so that was Gina's kidnap experience, right?
Right,
And it's so eerily similar to Amanda's kidnap experience.
right,
You know, like if I'm recalling correctly, he got Gina inside the same way he got Amanda inside.
right.
Can you help me move a speaker? Right? Didn't he do the same thing to
Same
her?
thing. Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then, then they get inside. Oh, make yourself comfortable, and then he go just basically, uh, goes in for the kill. For a turn of phrase. You know what I mean? He
Right.
basically gets
I,
them comfortable.
I think about, him being a bus driver, a
Yeah,
school bus driver. And, I think about all the bus drivers I've known when my kids were little.
yeah,
And how you automatically trust them is, oh yeah, they're going to take care of my kids. They're a bus driver. You wave at them, you give them little presents at
yeah.
Christmas time, all of that. You never think that they're going to be.
Well, it's really dawning on me as I come across so many more stories about people in positions of authority around kids that they
Mm,
literally intentionally go into those positions for that reason. They put themselves in that position so they can be around kids, so they can prey on them.
Right.
And how do you filter for that? How do you scan for that if the person's never been caught?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because they do, background checks and things like that, I'm assuming,
Absolutely.
but it's not going to show up if they've never been caught, right?
They've never been caught, and most of that type of stuff is really is exceedingly hard to prosecute. I mean, it's getting easier to prosecute it now, but it's such a it's always so secret. There's rarely ever any witness, corroboration. It's only lately that people are starting to realize that practically anybody could be this way, could be a predator, could be a child predator, could be a PEDO,
Right.
that, and even a woman,
Yeah.
and I'm also learning like the nuance, and that's one of something that's really important to me is understanding nuances and all this stuff. And there is a nuance in the whole idea of people who prey on kids. There's a difference between a child predator and a PDF file. There's actually a difference. There are people who just prey on kids, but they aren't necessarily sexually attracted to children. It's or like in a deviant way. It's just they choose children for a different reason, and I'm not articulating it very well, but they have a different motivation rather than it was basically bred into them to be attracted to children. You know what I'm
Child molester. Yeah. Does it have to do with something around control, and children are easier?
It has to do. There's so many different things. I think a lot of it has to do with arrested development. Like
right.
you see so many of these female teachers who
Oh.
are young female teachers who are having sex with their young men.
What the heck is that about?
And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I don't think that these young female teachers are PDF files. I think what they are is they have a very, very skewed and warped idea of sexuality and also the and boundaries, and also positions of authority, and also they haven't themselves reached an emotional maturity level to realize that they are they are older than the kid that they're preying on. They actually feel like they're the same age level, that they feel like they're peers.
Mm-hmm.
Like these young female teachers, they sometimes feel like they're peers to the high schoolers, right?
And yeah.
They're on the same emotional level, and they connect with each other, and they feel like they have things in common, and then it becomes romantic, and and they don't understand how wrong that is. It's not in their vocabulary to understand that is just absolutely wrong. When you are in a position of authority and you are older, this is a minor child. They cannot consent to what you are doing to them. It is, and you are fucking with their rest of their life. And I know you keep trying to say something, but I keep going on.
No, sorry. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. But I guess, so it sounds like what you might be saying is that, these people in some circumstances sort of craft their way into these positions of authority. And it's by, it's not by circumstance that they find themselves. It's really they're motivated to do this.
Yes.
Because of whatever, mental illness, whatever they're dealing with, that, they find themselves in these positions, but it's very fortuitous for them right? Because they're in positions of authority, they're surrounded by children.
Yep.
It's playing to all of whatever sick things that are going into their, their minds are, made up of. And unfortunately, the children suffer. And this is, this book we're reading is just like the worst of it.
Right. And I think that PDF files usually belong, in my mind, and please, I'm not an authority on all of this. This is just by what I'm learning and observing, is that it feels to me like the PDF files are the ones who might more calculated and consciously put themselves in a position, to be with children, like priests and preschool teachers and stuff like that. It feels to me like these people who are more emotionally underdeveloped, they subconsciously put themselves in kind of a position of power and authority, so that they can wield it over somebody else, and they also feel like a peer to to these children.
Mm-hmm.
And they like the idea that they can wield power and authority over them, and also have some have like a powerful sexual connection with them as well. It's so weird.
It's very weird. And, if I remember correctly, some of these female teachers, they end up being like, the favorite teachers of, these
Yes.
kids, because they relate to them. So
Right.
on their level, right? And the kids feel very comfortable around them. And
Right.
yeah.
They're more apt to like befriend them,
Mm-hmm.
relate to them, and be there, rather than point them in the right direction. Just allow the kid to do what they want, to be their friend.
Right. Right.
The other thing that struck me, that is striking me with these stories, and also again, I like to observe patterns and recognize patterns, is that we were raised on stranger danger. Oh, somebody's just going to come and swoop in and pick you up. But it feels like every time we really dive into an abduction or kidnapping or something like this, there's usually even the slightest connection. There's even a slight connection. So in both of these the cases that we're reading about in this book, Amanda and Gina knew this family. There
Right.
was a distant connection to the family, right? They went to school with his daughter, but the family was his family was broken up. So they knew that he was the father of their classmate, but he didn't really live with his daughters that much, right? It was a two family household, or I'm sorry, a two, she went back and forth. So
Right.
he had kind of a distance. He was the bus driver, but also he had a bit of a separation. He was able to kind of create like a separation, but he also knew the kids, and he was able to kind of use the advantage of his connection with his kids, but also his separation from his family, to lure in these girls.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, as we were reading this, I found myself like clenching, putting my hand over my mouth, and like, oh my God, this is horrifying, because what's coming. And to just, the chains going around her, and her, her fear, and her not being the dirty rag being shoved into her mouth and then taped over. I was just horrifying. It's horrifying.
Yeah, I would be out of my mind. Just
yeah.
It's just and she was only 14.
I know.
She was I mean, when I was 14, I had not been with a man that way yet. That was I mean, that would be earth shattering,
Absolutely.
absolutely earth shattering.
How, and my God, I mean, to have to go through that with, you know, a
Yeah.
guy like that is just filthy. And
Yeah, she was very descriptive in how she described his house. I thought
oh, yeah.
how filthy it was, and like how he had that card table propped up, you know,
The cobwebs and the grease on the wall, and
grease on the wall.
oh my
How
God.
does the fucking grease get on the wall?
Oh my God.
I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy was just demented, man.
Yeah.
So sadistic too, because he did that same. Thank you so much, Wispy. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you could tell I have these massive live streams. I just don't have drama here.
We love our live streams.
But anyway, where was I going with that?
The disgusting environment, and just
That was so
how
vivid.
descriptive she was. Yeah.
That was so vivid how she talked about the grease on the wall, man.
Oh my God, I know.
Oh, and then all the empty, like what? Because Amanda had also talked about the empty plastic bottles, right?
Right.
I think I remember her saying that too, and being like, "What the hell is he doing with all these empty plastic bottles?"
Right.
You
What
know,
was he doing with that? Was he?
I don't know if we ever. Thank
We
you so
haven't.
much, Mind of my monster. I appreciate it. Please hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. That get on the stream. I really appreciate it, and happy holidays. And if you don't know, we're reading a book right now. We're in the middle of reading a book. We read another book before this. It was Matthew Perry's memoir. So we just sit here and we read the book and we talk about it a little bit. So anyway, it was just, I think that I can kind of tell that her chapters, or her journal was definitely written by somebody else. You know what I mean? It's just really,
Right.
it was really well, like they basically took her journal and kind of said, okay, I'm going to make a narrative out of this. Like that's really coherent,
Right.
taking her really vivid memories and making it into like something that's very coherent. And actually it was riveting to me. I was really drawn into it as well. As I was reading it.
Yeah, same. I was going to mention I did end up buying the book, Lynn, and so in the middle of it, just like the Matthew Perry book, there are photographs.
There's probably some at the end. I'll see if they're.
Yeah, see if you have them on your side, and if not, then I can try and do my silly capture for you. But it's it brings it all to life as we're reading this, and it's really kind of horrifying to look at the photos. But anyway.
And in case does it have like evidence type photos, like inside the house and stuff?
Well, it's we were just talking about the kitchen, and then there's a photo of the kitchen here, and they're not great photos. They're black and white and kind of grainy looking, but you can kind of see the nastiness. And there is the room where one of the girls, let's see, I guess, was chained up in a bed. And then, it just grips your heart, and it's a lot.
I will check to see if they're in the Kindle and
yeah, and if not, let me know. Yeah.
But for anybody who isn't aware, I said this early in at the beginning of the stream. The reason I chose this book is kind of because I'm interested. There's so much talk about missing people and what happens to them when they go missing. We hear so much, a lot of times when people go missing, we don't know ever what happens to them. They just vanish. Other times they go missing and they turn up again. And these girls turned up after 10 years, you guys. They were kidnapped in Cleveland and were in Cleveland, blocks away from their families for 10 years. Now, it's hard to believe that that could happen now with all the camera and surveillance equipment that we have these days, but still, it's not like totally out of the realm of possibility. It's just not totally out of the realm of possibility. And people are turning up. Like there was that one girl, I'm forgetting her name right now, that went missing, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago from Arizona, I think it was, and then she turned up in Utah. Hey, hello, William Eyelash. Gosh, I forget her name. Aguilera, is that? Oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name right now. But she turned 18 and then went to she went missing when she was 14, and then she turned 18 and she was like, "Hey everybody, I'm alive. I'm here. I'm okay."
I vaguely remember this one.
Yeah, I'll have to. I can't think of her name right now, but my whole point in just bringing it up is that it happens. It does happen. Alicia, thank you so much, Solo.
Oh, right.
And Solo, I love you, girl, and I know that it's a really hard time of year for you, and I love you. So I'm always thinking of you. I hope you know that. And she's always good with the true crime trivia and facts.
She's amazing.
And Alicia Navarro, yes. Alicia Navarro went missing, and then she turned up at a police station when she turned 18. And then the last couple times we went live, we were talking about Hannah Kobayashi.
Yes.
And I was going, At first I was like, oh my gosh, missing girl. I was, at first, but I sat back and watched, and that's what I usually do. I don't usually jump on, trending stories. I kind of sit back and watch. And then I saw that her dad unalived himself, and I'm like, that is bizarre. That's really, really bizarre. And then it turned out somebody was scamming there. Somebody was scamming because she's alive.
Right.
She's just fine. She wasn't really missing. She basically just wasn't telling her family what she was doing. And somebody lied. Right? And then her dad is really the ultimate, it seems, victim in this. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. But it's that type of stuff. Oh man.
Yeah, and her aunt, who's on social media, and she was the spokesperson primarily for the family.
Yeah.
That was weird to me. I think we talked about this. Like, her mother really took a back seat and chose not to, which is fine. You can understand that. But then there was the whole story about, she was married to some guy, and it was a whole.
Right. It was a green card scam.
Green card scam, right? And the guy was, with another woman, and then there was. It was such a confusing scenario. And then, and she goes to Mexico, and then she just they find her, or she comes back. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah. It really bums me out.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I agree, Wispy. It feels to me that this is the scenario I'm thinking in my head about her dad. Okay. I don't know this for sure. There's no way, but I like to analyze these things. I get this from my mom. My mom and I used to sit around and analyze things. And I feel like almost like, her dad was put on Front Street when he came out here. He was given interviews and he was just going all over the place looking for her. I almost feel like he was told about this scam. Like, nope, she's really alive, and this. And he was like, fuck this shit. not only am I being, he was already probably being slammed because his daughter's missing, and for all the, because social media is just sadistic.
Yeah.
No matter, you could be the perfect human being, you could be Jesus fucking Christ, and somebody would call you a slut. Okay, I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. That's how it is on the internet. And so he was already being annihilated, and now he finds out, in my scenario, that he finds out it's a scam. He's like, fuck this shit, I'm not, I can't believe you're doing this to me. And he's like, goodbye. And who knows what else was going on in his life.
Right.
Who knows what else was going on in his life. So it just really that's just really sad.
What bugged me was, I guess I was watching some news clip about this, and it was when Hannah, I guess, was reunited with her aunt, right? The one who's been very vocal and on TV and all, the whole thing. And they're hugging each other and they look happy. And I'm thinking, this is BS. How can, I mean, unless she just has, no feeling for her own father, how could she return and be happy? I mean, it just didn't make any sense to me, right? It's like she chose to leave and then she comes back. The aunt's happy because now, it looks like a happy ending, but her poor father, has taken his life. And I don't know.
There's just so much.
There's something more there that maybe it'll come out someday, but it feels like that's not the end of the story.
Yeah, that was a really strange place
to injure. Oh, so true. Why there, of all places, right?
Well, it's almost like because that's where she last was or something. I almost felt like that might have been kind of a connection to her. I don't know, man. It was, I almost felt like, he was made to be a little bit of the front man, almost because he didn't know, because he could look innocent. He could look like he was really worried. He could look like he was genuinely, frantically looking for his daughter. And then he was told, brought in on the plot, or he found out about the plot. And then he did this, right? Who knows? I don't know. I don't think, there's so much I don't know that could be just a horrible take on the situation. But it's just, man, whoever lied to the public, and then I don't know, somebody should be feeling guilty about what happened in that situation. Yeah. I just feel that way. I just really do,
Yep.
And I don't know who, but anyway, but let's end on an yes. I know that Wispy, I know that they were estranged. They had been estranged. That was one thing, but we don't know why. We don't know how long or anything like that. So it was almost like, estranged dad finds out his daughter's gone missing. Now he's going to kind of be a hero and find her, and they're going to get reunited again, kind of like a hero's journey almost. Yeah, but anyway. Right. But I end on a loving note to all of you for being here. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. Please remember to have as good a holiday as ever. I have lots of ideas for videos, but yes, Wispy. They're on the critical side. So, and I don't feel like being critical to people during the holidays.
Well, nice. I'm too after the first of the year, and then really.
I might do something, sometimes I collect funny little sound bites of funny little things.
I love your funny little things.
I collect funny little things people do. Not that I'm trying to clown on them. It's just independently funny. So I was thinking of maybe like collecting like a year-end clip of funny little bloopers from around the community. But I'm not sure if I'll have time to do it before year's end. But we'll see. We'll see. I just don't. I don't like being critical of people around. Like right on top of the holidays. So I'm not sure if I'll be putting a video out, but we'll see. We
Oh,
shall.
yeah, the Luigi thing. Yeah.
Oh my God, the fucking.
There's another one.
Okay, so now we're just going to encourage a bunch of CEOs to get executed for fame. I mean, and tell me social media hasn't encouraged murder
Right?
without telling me social media hasn't encouraged. And that's all. I'm going to stop there. I don't want to
Yeah.
get again, but yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so happy holidays. I wish you all the best. The panel guest name is Cinnamon Girl Wispy.
Hello.
So yes, thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening to us. And please be kind. I used to say this at the end of my videos on one of my channels, one of my many channels. No, I'm kidding. One of my 3 channels. You literally have no idea what people are going through in their private lives. You have no idea. So please be kind. Please be kind online and everywhere you go. Please don't be the reason that somebody has a shittier day. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. And and hit that thumbs up, everyone. All right. Thank you and have a great
Thank
rest
you,
of
Lynn. Happy holidays, everyone.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.